Hello, and welcome to another episode of Carnivore Evolution. I'm Victoria Olson, your host. Mark Ennis will be joining us shortly, we hope. And our guest today is Nate, known as the Carnivore Cop. He has a history of 13 years in law enforcement and has worked in some of the most violent neighborhoods in his state. We'd like to welcome you, Nate. Thank you for joining us today. Hello.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, we're pleased. We're very pleased, and we really want to hear your story. So please tell us how you came to Carnivore. Give us some of your backstory and your history.
Sure. I had some like prior experiences with just like low carb eating when I played football and wrestled in high school. To cut weight, I would cut carbs. And I think at the time, like the Atkins diet was like really popular. So I would eat essentially, the way Dr. Atkins had wrote about in his book. And then kind of as I got out of sports and athletics and started moving on with my work life and schooling, I just kind of ate the standard American diet. Um, And for the most part, that's how I lived all the way, I would say all the way until I decided I had enough. So for most of my life, I sat around 200 pounds to like 220 pounds in there. But then I got about halfway through my law enforcement career and I jumped on the scale one day and I was like, okay, we got a problem. Um, my weight had slowly crept up to about 270 pounds, and I just got kind of sick of it. I was working a lot. I think being on night shift had a lot to do with it. Not having like a consistent meal plan or workout routine, and I just kind of let the stress of the job catch up to
Yeah,
me, and
very
I bloomed
stressful,
out.
I'd imagine. Yeah.
It has its days. I always tell people it's like
Mhm.
a terrible relationship. Like the good days are amazing, the bad days are terrible. Like they're the worst.
Mm.
But I wouldn't trade it for the world. I have a lot of fun actually. So I would say about hmm, maybe 3.5, 4 years ago, uh, I started eating keto. I had saw a lot of people get real positive results eating keto and paleo, and then I started working out regularly. I made it a point to work out before my shift, and while I was on night shift, where I was working midnight to 8 a.m., I had lost my first like 35, 40 pounds eating keto.
Wow.
And then I was working one night during my lunch break, or my, lunch break in the early morning, I guess it would be technically. I was listening to Dr. Sean Baker on Joe
Hmm.
Rogan's podcast, and then I caught uh, an episode with the Bell brothers, and they were talking about how they're eating carnivore, and all those gentlemen are just in unbelievable shape. So it was kind of one of
Yes.
those things where I was like, okay, well, maybe this is the next step. Like maybe cutting out all these other things will help get me to where I want to be. And
Mhm.
so I would say about 2 years ago, about rough, uh, I had switched over to eating pretty well strict carnivore. I have moments where I'm not super strict, where I'll eat maybe a little more on the keto end, or I'll tell people like dirty carnivore, like I'll include some cheeses and things like that.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I do everything I can to be strict carnivore. So meal prep and
Wow.
everything. And that's kind of how I ended up here.
Very nice.
So in total,
Great. Great.
at my lowest weight, which would put me like in the like 175 to 180
Mhm.
range, I'm down 90 pounds from my heaviest. So
Wow, fantastic.
mhm,
Congratulations. Those are great results. I
thank you.
want to ask you um, what your primary motivation was for doing carnivore and keto, and also about in your experience in the culture in your career, is there an emphasis on fitness and weight control, personally in your experience?
Sure. Um, well, so for me personally, the drive was I had like a moment where uh, I had an incident during my profession where I was trying to take a suspect into custody and he started resisting. And it was him and I rolling around on the ground for about 2.5 minutes before the first officer showed up to help me. And at that time, I was pretty well my heaviest. There was a short like run, wasn't much, but I ended up catching him, and then it was on. And at the end of it, I honestly felt like I was having a heart attack. I just felt like gross. I couldn't catch my breath, and I think you get by so long using your tools and your training, where you can kind of slide and get away with things. And if you have that weight gain, it maybe isn't the end of the world. Maybe it does work in your advantage because you outweigh them, right? drag him to the ground. But for the most part, in that instance, I'm so sorry.
No
In that
problem.
instance, the cardio wasn't there, the conditioning wasn't there, and and it caught up to me. So,
Yeah.
uh, so that was kind of my defining moment. Was like, I got to do something different. I got to make a change. And so
Mhm.
I made it a point to like I would get on the treadmill. I'm so sorry.
That's not an issue. It's okay.
Do you mind if the bird joins the chat for a little bit?
I'm so happy to have her. Thank you.
Okay,
It's
she'll be
great.
quiet at least.
That's
Um,
all.
so the long short of it is, made a decisive decision. I went home and I talked to my wife and I was like, I hate how I feel. I hate how I look. I have to make a change. And so I really just started ratcheting in. I think in terms of our profession, my profession at least, I don't. I think there's an emphasis on fitness in the beginning, and there's no accountability or follow through in the back end. And so I
Yeah.
think unless you're a self-motivated, like hard charger person,
Hmm.
you're there's no incentive for you to work out other than having some pride. And so I think that there are a lot of people who are very unfit in my profession. And I'm hoping that maybe they see a story like mine, or they see some of these other, I would say like fit cops, some of these other officers who are out there who are like, hey, this is a lifestyle that can get you hurt if you're not in good shape. You need to really be accountable for yourself. It's a big deal to me, and it has in the last few years because I've made a shift from being on the streets to in our training division. So I interact with our new recruits, and I interact with our in-service officers, our officers who come in for follow-through training. And I see guys I've trained who were in pretty good shape when they're in the academy, and they come back like 2 years later, through a training cycle, and they're like they ballooned out. They put their freshman 15 or 20 on,
Oh
and
dear.
yeah, it makes me worry about them honestly because I see how lucky I've been in my career, and maybe it's not necessarily off of skill or physical ability. It's pure luck or grace of God, and it makes me worry about them because I understand the stress of this profession is not healthy for you, but I also understand that if you don't have a lifestyle that maximizes your health and um, you know makes you optimize yourself, it can put you in a position where you're in danger. So that's
Oh,
kind of
certainly.
that's my 2 cents on health in our profession. I don't think that a lot of places really emphasize it.
Well, how about conditioning? Do you have a program that you follow? A lot of people who do ketogenic diets think they don't have to exercise. Well, I personally do, and I think it's necessary for general overall health. What do you do particularly for conditioning?
I try to work out 3 to 4 days a week. My workouts are I've got kind of a set routine. My Mondays I'll do like a 30 to 45 minutes on an incline treadmill, so maximum incline,
Mm-hmm.
2 to 2.5 mile per hour pace. Get a good
Wow.
sweat going, and then when I get off, I'll go do my chest workout. And so I kind of have a varying alternating chest workout. Then, let's say Tuesday will be my back day, and I start that workout with 30 to 40 minutes of incline walking, just to get a good lather on, get warmed up. And Wednesday is a leg day, Thursday is like a rest day, and then Friday I kind of hit all the little accessory muscles, do some core workouts, and then I occasionally I'll go for like a mile and a half run.
Nice.
Nothing
Yeah,
crazy. I'm not a
but that's
marathon runner.
good. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not a marathon runner. There's nothing agile about me. I'm not going to say I'm agile by any means, but I try to get a good run in here and there.
Yes.
Um, and then I do jujitsu, which is
Mm-hmm.
unbelievable conditioning and training. So,
Mm-hmm.
so that's kind of my workout. That's kind of how I've got things set up. I've had tremendous progress sticking to it, and until I hit a plateau, I typically don't change much up. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, so who were your original influencers? You mentioned before we started, you mentioned Dr. Baker. I know he's my personal motivator. Who do you follow, and what kind of eating do you do in your definition of carnivore?
Sure. So, in terms of just fitness influencer types, I've always I grew up. I'm a '90s kid. I grew up in the '80s into the '90s, so I got to see peak Arnold. I got to see peak Hulk Hogan and Macho Man and all those guys. So I
Mhm.
grew up in that like machismo, you know, golden era. I would say post golden era bodybuilding. So I see a lot of those guys, and I think that they're big motivators in that aspect. Now I understand that they're all on gear, they're all taking steroids, and so I
Yeah.
understand that maybe some of their physiques aren't obtainable legitimately. Uh, but I
Mhm.
can appreciate the work that they put in. I can appreciate the mentality and attitude that they had towards it because I think they looked at bodybuilding as a craft. I think they looked at strength training as like a craft and they took it seriously. It was their lifestyle. And so I can absolutely appreciate the intensity of effort that they put in. In terms of like how I set my workouts up based off of any particular person, I did go through a pretty good phase of doing Mike Metzner's heavy duty style lifting, and I personally think I got very strong. I got a lot stronger during that period. It's a lower rep and set count, uh, operating in that like 80 to 90% of your personal best area, and then operating until failure basically. Um, but recently, because I would say my goals have changed in terms of maybe a little bit more longevity, a little bit more conditioning,
Mhm.
um, having functional strength.
Yes.
I've kind of backed away from lifting heavier. I also ached, my joints ached when I started stacking a lot of weight up and getting
Mhm.
really heavy. I've kind of do a little more higher rep now, just moderate weights. I try to
Mhm.
lift till failure still, and
Mhm.
uh, but for the most part, I'm trying to incorporate more functional fitness style, especially just with the jujitsu. It's hard for me in particular to go lift super heavy and then later that night go hit the mat for an hour and a half
Mhm.
and roll, and then also help out with kids class and stuff like that. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, it's a oh my God, I'm so sorry. Okay, let me put
Oh,
her up.
just ignore the noise. It's fine. Don't
Uh,
worry.
so,
I
but yeah,
hardly
that's
noticed.
yeah. Well, she was trying to take my earbud out.
Let it go.
So yeah,
It's red. It's pretty.
she wanted to interact. But yeah, no, it's so I'm kind of trying to devil more and dive more into the functional fitness stuff because I think the
Mhm.
longevity aspect of it is very important.
Yeah, it's very
So
pragmatic. That's important
I
too.
I think for my carnivore eating, when I get into a groove, it is a very plain carnivore style diet. I am
Mhm.
if like once I'm locked in, let's say, uh, honestly, I eat nothing but burger patties, hard-boiled eggs, some butter here and there, uh,
Mhm.
beef tallow, obviously, and just some like occasional like sharp cheddar, just to throw on my burger patties or whatever. Um,
Mhm.
lately, I've ate a little more chicken thighs. I just like the
Mhm.
fatty chicken thighs.
Mhm.
I've had more seafood lately.
Mhm.
Um, and I kind of go in waves, right? Like when I lock in, I'm like, okay, I really want to cut. I really want to be at this particular weight, or I want to be at, this body composition. It's like almost entirely 50% fat, 50% protein, uh,
One to
hard-boiled
one.
eggs and
Yeah.
yeah, 1-to-1 hard-boiled eggs, ground beef. And then when I kind of loosen up and you know, loosen up, basically, I'll eat like chicken thighs, I'll eat some cheddar, or I'll have a little more dairy product included in my
Mhm.
diet. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, I've got a set routine that I like.
Mhm. Good. Did you find it difficult to transition away from keto? You mentioned you did keto. When you were doing keto, did you do the keto treats like the
I
cakes and
did.
the almond flour?
Oh, oh my God, there's so many of them.
Yeah.
I love keto chocolates. That is my
Oh,
guilty
yeah.
vice. Hey,
There's Mark.
Mark.
Nate, how are you, buddy?
Good. How are you, sir?
I'm very, very well. Nice to meet you finally.
Very nice to meet you. Interacting with you in the background has been so entertaining, and I love your stuff.
Yes.
So, what did I
So,
miss so far?
We talked about his history with weight and how he's eating and what he's doing for fitness and conditioning.
Perfect. Okay, so let's talk.
That's
Let's talk a little bit about that. So I know you're big into fitness, Nate. Nate, what are you doing at the moment? You're not. I know you're a fighter at the moment as well, aren't you?
What's that?
You're a fighter at the moment as well, aren't you? You do ninjutsu
I
or something like
listen.
that.
jujitsu.
I'm not gonna claim to be a fighter, but but no, I've got a competition, like a match coming up in January where it's like a firefighters versus police officers battle of the badges sort of thing. Although it may
Cool.
end up being more police officers versus police officers, but
Hmm.
it's like a national event. And hopefully I show up. I'm in good, good conditioning, good strength, and I can at least work my technique and not have to rely totally on strength actually.
Mm.
So
Have you noticed eating this way, you're recovering a lot better, your energy's a lot better, your endurance. I'm presuming your endurance levels are good as well.
yeah, I've had really I what I love about eating carnivore, what I love about eating keto is my energy is just the same. It's the
Mm.
same all the way. And you hear people say that. And I think if you're on the outside of it, you don't realize or understand what that person's talking about. Like
Mm.
I've got days, and this is not, I'm not trying to say I'm like superhuman by any means, but I think the diet certainly helps the cause. I get up at 3:30 in the morning. I go get an hour and a half of lifting and cardio in. I go to work. I work my 10-hour shift. I come home. I might be a little tired, uh, but for the most part, I come home. I get the kids ready. We go hit the kids' jujitsu class, and then I go hit the adults class, and I'm in bed at like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah,
And that,
yeah,
that's a full day. That is a
yeah.
full day. And I just feel like the energy is there all day. Like I'm not going to say I'm not tired, but what I am going to say is I'm not fatigued, if
No.
that makes any sense.
No, it makes
And
perfect sense because I was the same as you, Nate. I used to train like say 7 days a week. And the thing I felt was I used to always get DOMS. It used to be really, really hard to recover. And
mhm,
what I didn't realize was I was overtraining. Even though I was training about an hour pretty much in the gym, I was training really, really intense. I was always thinking about ideas. Okay, how do I recover? Do
yeah,
ice pads, do saunas, have my carbohydrates after my workouts. But because I had a hectic lifestyle outside of training, I had to go to
mhm,
work. So I was going from one stressful environment to another stressful environment. I was like, okay, well, what's the best way to recover? And I always put training first.
mhm,
I never looked at the nutrition. If anything, I used to focus on the nutrition around my workout. I mean,
sure.
we've all heard it, like the party workout, like your pre-workout, your intra workout, and then your post workout. Because I was always told if you're going to focus on your recovery and the best way to build muscle and to improve your fitness is really focus on your nutrition around your training, and that's what I did.
Mhm,
Um, so I for years I used to just focus solely on the training. But but for years I was like, okay, this is not right. I'm not recovering very well. And why is the DOMS? Why have I got muscle pain like 48 hours later, 72
sure.
hours later? Every time I did a leg
Yeah.
session, it would take nearly 3 or 4 days for me to recover. Whereas now, I can do a leg session. I only did a leg session there on Thursday. I could have done a leg session, the same leg session the day after because I was able to recover very, very quickly.
Yeah, I definitely can acknowledge that lactic acid buildup is
Yeah,
just, I don't say
yeah,
non-existent. Like, and I have good like workouts. Like I'm sore, but I'm not like, I don't have that like that muscle fatigue that you get, I think when
yeah.
you're real carb heavy.
100%, because that's where it's all coming from. It's all the inflammation. It's that you're retaining all that water in your
Hmm.
body. So when you're pumping the muscle up, you're only pumping the muscle up with like excess glycogen.
Exactly.
That's what it is. You're not working solely on the muscle. You're just pumping the muscle up. So it might look the muscle might look bigger, but
Hmm.
that's just an illusion.
Sure.
It's not actual muscle mass.
Hmm.
Yeah. No, I 100% understand that. And you know
Yeah,
what's funny is I've always had people say like, well, your muscles need carbs and all that. I'm like, honestly, you're shunting water into your muscles with the carbs, but
Water.
you can
yeah,
Yes,
accomplish,
it's water.
you can, yeah, you can accomplish the same thing with salt and proper hydration. I mean, that's the
yeah,
biggest
hundred
part.
percent,
A-
hundred
And
percent.
in that, in the past, I've had problems like managing my water. I would totally admit I'm not as good as I should be about drinking water as much as I can. And I've gotten a lot better about it. But I think that is for a lot of people the hard part of getting into like the carnivore or for that matter keto diet is because
Yeah,
you have that initial water drop,
yeah.
and I think a lot of people don't know how to navigate uh, drinking enough water or keeping water on board with salt. I am so sorry. This bird
You're okay.
is so
You're
interested.
okay.
I think it's so cute.
Love that.
Yeah,
Love that.
it's
No,
cute.
but
It's cute until she bites.
Until she bites. Oh no.
Yeah,
but no,
but
you
yeah,
made a good. But you made a good point, Nate, because I speak to a few endurance athletes. I have spoken to a few endurance athletes that we only had Duncan on there a few weeks ago. He's actually
Mhm.
a runner at the moment. You know, he actually does an awful lot of cycling. And his philosophy now on training has completely changed to what he used to do in the past. When he used to rely on carbohydrates every, say, 30 minutes, an hour into his training. Whereas now, because he's fat adapted, he has longer periods of energy, so he can cycle for ages, and
Yeah.
he can actually tap into his own energy when it runs out. Whereas
So
when you look at an athlete have to tap in pretty much every half an hour. They're sucking on these gels, they're sucking on these sports
yeah,
drinks because the glucose and the sugars are running out of the body very, very quickly. But that
yeah,
doesn't happen
depleting those
when you're
reserves just so
yeah,
quick.
yeah. But when you're fat adapted, I mean, we've had people all over the world. I've heard stories that people have done consistent marathons, 3 marathons
Mhm.
in a row, the fasted. Like these people are doing these fat, no food in their body whatsoever. They're
Right.
just running off their own reserves. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible.
And wonderful. Yeah, it's great.
You know what I mean?
The I
It
think
really
that
is.
I don't know if it's him who I follow. There's a gentleman I saw, and I've talked about him in the past, and I just haven't come across him again. But he's a cyclist, and or maybe I saw him on another podcast. But he's a cyclist, and he showed a study where he was talking about the drive into ketosis. Like
Mm,
if you can push yourself into ketosis on those long like tour style bike rides,
mm,
uh, it is substantially better for you than the glucose intake.
yeah,
And you retain more power. You're able to have more intensity in spots where you need it. You just don't
100%.
fatigue out as fast.
Yeah, I'll give you another example. Okay, I went up against a boxer, an amateur boxer. There, oh, it was
Mhm.
around maybe 6 or 7 weeks ago. Now this guy's around 30 years younger than me, and he challenged me on a stairmaster, and he said to me, "We're going to do 1 hour. We're going to do 1 hour on level 8." Now this guy was a carboholic, and I've been
Mhm.
carnivore for nearly 5 years now.
Sure.
And he put me on the stairmaster, and we were on level 8. And he said, "Right, we're going to do this for an hour." Nate, and I'm not even joking with you. I was doing 10 minutes at level 8, and I was like, this is too easy for me, way
Right.
too easy. So
Easy work.
yeah, easy work. So I increased up to 12. He stayed on number 8. 25
Oh,
minutes 25 minutes into the session, this guy was like pouting. He was breathing heavy. He was going like that. I was
that,
completely relaxed, completely
that's
relaxed.
awesome.
Wow.
That is
Love it.
awesome.
I love it.
And you know what
I
the worst? And you know what the best thing about that was? In that whole hour session, I had no water at all. None.
really,
Wow.
No
Oh
water
my
at all.
goodness. An hour.
I didn't
yeah.
drink any water at all during that session.
That's
I
fabulous.
think now that I think of it, I would say I
Mm,
never go into the gym with water. And
no.
I don't want to say I never feel thirsty. Like I sweat hard. I've always
Mm,
been a sweaty guy. I think moving to Texas made me realize that I am a sweatier guy than I ever thought I was.
mm.
And so I absolutely sweat like crazy in the gym, but I never feel thirsty, I guess.
Mm.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that makes sense. And I don't feel
No, it makes
fatigued.
perfect sense. Yeah, perfect. Because I'm the same. I go into the gym and I never bring any water with me ever.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
and it never correlated. I never thought of it that way.
And
Like
and
after you mentioned it.
and see it makes me laugh because I do be in my local gym and I'm seeing all these women with these big jugs of water, like
Hmm.
big jugs of
Oh,
water, and I'm like,
I mean,
what are you
good.
gonna do with that?
Yeah, good for you that you're drinking
yeah.
water, but also you really don't need
Yeah, but
it.
that's
Like
But
too
see,
not
much.
in that
Yeah.
aspect.
but see, Nathan, that's the only time they are gonna drink water. They're only gonna
That's
drink
true.
it during their workout. I guarantee you, if you spoke to these people outside the workout, they probably don't drink
Hmm.
any water at all.
Yeah. No,
No, not at
unfortunately.
all. Yeah, I can think
So
of so many times being at work and having officers who like maybe get on the ground where they have to chase after someone.
yeah,
And
yeah,
it's hot. It's 107-degree Texas day, like your classic, like welcome to the pits of hell. and,
yeah,
and
yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
they're running after someone, and then at the very end, they're just like, well, I'm sick, I'm fatigued, like they're, getting ready to throw up, and the reason why is because they're dehydrated. And
Yeah.
then
100%.
you look in
Yeah.
their squad car and you see what they have in their car, and don't get me wrong, I'm not judging them because I do enjoy an occasional White Monster energy drink.
Mm, mm,
But you'll see what they have in the car, and it's like soda, uh, you know, full leaded, all sugar energy drinks,
mm.
Cheetos, and you're like, okay, come on, guys, like there's a
Yeah,
reason why you're feeling like
yeah,
garbage right now.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
The run
yeah, yeah.
wasn't the
Absolutely.
problem; it's everything you used to fuel the run up until that point in time.
Yeah, yeah. I know I missed out on the start, but talk me through like what the standard diet you were on before and what led you into the carnivore lifestyle, like real quick. Like what was it
Sure.
a long transition or did you like how did you get how did what who told you about carnivore?
So I had ate Atkins style diet back when I was in like high school on and off because I had to lose some weight then just for the sports I was in. And it worked really well for me. And I kind of on and off ate Atkins through the years, but for the most part, I was just like the standard American diet. And I think it caught up to me big time when I went to night shift and I worked from like midnight to 8 a.m., which is a hard shift. It's You don't sleep well during the day because you get home into
No,
sunlight.
it's tough on your body to do
Mm,
Yeah,
that. Really
yeah,
is.
mm,
you get home and it's sunlight when you go to bed. If don't have blackout curtains, you never really sleep well. Everyone else is moving around. People have lawn
mm,
guys who are cutting grass during the day, so your sleep's not that great. And you never sleep a full 8 to 10 hours, let's say. Like not that you need to sleep 10 hours, but you're not getting eight. You're
mm,
getting like 5 or 6 because and it's not a very well rested 5 or 6.
mm,
Uh, and so that kind of didn't help. You eat weird, you eat at weird hours, you don't eat good things, you eat what's available to you. I ate a lot of gas station food. I'd have like roller dogs, hot dogs that are on like,
mm,
a roller, sandwiches out of their deli case, and that's not too good for you either.
mm,
And just like I would say over the course of a few years, I ballooned up. I went from like 200 like 15 to 220 pounds, all
mm,
the way up to 270. And that's just like it just caught up to me one day. It just was
mm,
too much.
mm. And what height are you?
Well, according to the doctor's office when I went in there the other day for an antibiotic, I am 5'7". Now,
Yeah,
my entire adult life, I thought I was 5'9". So I don't know what happened. I
yeah,
think I'm
that's it.
shrinking.
That's still an awful lot of weight to be walking around though on 5'7", like
Yeah.
270
It's
pounds. That's a lot of weight.
it's far too much weight. And you know what's funny is I never felt huge. Okay, so like I know that's gonna sound
Mm,
crazy, but I think because like it was so drawn out over time, I like pants fit tighter, shirts fit tighter. I didn't like the way I looked, but I never felt
mm,
like morbidly obese. And then
mm,
I was telling her that, I had an incident where I had to tussle and roll around with a guy, and it was for like 2.5 minutes before my first officer showed up with me.
mm, mm,
And I'm telling you, it caught up that day. I mean, it was like a
mm,
rude awakening. And that was the
mm,
first day where I felt terrible. I felt like I was having a heart attack. I couldn't catch my breath. I went home, I looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, my God, I am morbidly obese. Like this is
mm,
terrible.
mm, mm.
I got to do something about it.
So that's when the penny dropped. Okay, so what did you do
Yeah.
next? Did you cut out all the carbohydrates, or did you just eliminate the
Um,
processed food?
I started eliminating processed foods. I started being more aware of what I was eating. I made it a point to work out every day, doing some form of cardio. And
Mm,
then I switched over and started eating keto, like real strict keto. And I lost like 30, 40-ish pounds over the course of like a year and a half-ish doing that.
mm, mm,
And I really liked it, but I was telling her I saw like Dr. Sean Baker. I saw the Bell brothers go on Joe Rogan, and talk about, the benefits of eating carnivore. And I was like, you know what? It's kind of January. They did the World Carnivore Month that Joe Rogan talks about, and the Bell brothers did, and Baker did. And I was like, you know
mm,
what? I'll do that. And I listened to Jordan Peterson and Michaela Peterson, and they talked about the benefits of just eating steak. They're like, we just eat steak, salt, water.
mm,
And so I did that, and the rest of my weight just fell off. I mean, it
mm,
was just unbelievable.
mm,
And it just now, for the most part, I bounce between eating like very strict keto and carnivore, but I would say I would spend 90% of my time eating carnivore. It's just
and
something I
tell
love
me
to do.
this, and tell me this, because I'm looking at your pictures. You're looking incredible. Do you feel
Thank
like
you.
you'll ever go back to adding carbohydrates in? Because this is the latest trend that we're seeing at the moment. That We're seeing a
Yeah,
lot of these carnivores, and they're introducing carbohydrates again. So do you feel like you'll ever add them back in again?
I don't feel like I need them.
Yeah.
I don't foresee adding carbohydrates in intentionally, if that makes any sense.
Mm.
Mhm.
Let me phrase it this way. Like my wife eats keto. If she makes a meal and it's a keto meal, I'm probably going to eat her meal because I love her
Mm.
and I appreciate the fact that she's making dinner for me.
Absolutely.
If my wife was a raging alcoholic and made me eat donuts when I came home, I would say no to that. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? So
Absolutely.
so my
100%.
yeah, my diet intake is I watch after it because I don't want to go back to being morbidly obese. I care
Mm.
so
That's a
much
good
about
plan.
being around for my children. I care so much
Absolutely.
about
That's a big
being
motivator.
being effective and fit. Uh, I very much so closely watch my diet, and I try to take out the things that I don't feel are good for me.
And I
Um,
think
What
that's, I
does
think,
could I
sorry, go ahead, Victoria. Sorry.
um what does your day look like when you're on the job? What is your eating pattern in a work day time frame?
During a normal work week, I feel like I eat very OMAD, if that makes
Mhm.
sense. I do fasted workouts, and if I'm like legitimately hungry when I get home, or I'm sorry, when I get to work in the morning, I might have a couple hard-boiled eggs. But
Mm.
for the most part, I try not to eat till like 11:30, 12. So I start my day
Mm.
at 3:30, go to the gym, workout, shower up, head to work. And then I might have a cup of coffee in the morning, depending on, if it's not, I lose my appetite during the summer, if I'm going to be abundantly clear. I know I'm
Mm.
getting a little off track here, but it's hard to eat things that are so filling and nutrient dense when
Mm.
it's like 105 degrees outside
Yeah.
Yeah.
and you're in the
Yeah.
sun all
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
Being in the
Yeah.
sun nukes my appetite completely.
Mm.
Mm.
And so I find it hard to go in intake. And I think that's also part of the reason why I lean up so much because I'm drinking a ton of water during the summer because I'm
Yeah.
trying to stay hydrated.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this is not an exaggeration. I mean, I know I'm a little off track here. It's not an exaggeration. I have days where I have a 5 to 6 pound weight loss over the course of the day because I'm
Wow.
sweating from being in the sun for 10 hours
Mm.
Mhm.
because I
Mm.
work in our training environment. And
Yeah.
I'm still
Mhm.
drinking a gallon or two of water, if not more, during that day.
Are you using
So,
salt or electrolytes to
yeah,
compensate a little for that?
yeah, I'll put Redmond's in my water.
Mhm.
I'll put, one second. Let me cover her up real quick.
She's giving out to you. She's giving out. She's like, shut up, shut up.
She really is. Yeah. No, it's
Stop,
funny
stop
because,
talking, stop talking.
yeah, there's a Amazon delivery driver and she's like a guard dog. That's the only
Oh,
way to put
really?
it.
Brilliant.
So,
Who needs a
yeah,
dog these days? Just get a bird.
right. Yeah. I don't have to worry about the ring camera going off. She'll let me know before the person ever gets to the
Really?
door.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
Uh, But yeah, so I add salt and electrolytes. I really like my guilty pleasure is I'll throw a little lemon and some salt in my water, or I'll throw like
Mm.
a sliced up cucumber or something like that in my water
Mm.
just to get a little
Mm.
flavor. But for the most part, yeah, in terms of my eating, I find myself eating OMAD. I try not to snack. I eat with intent, so it
Mm.
seems to work for me.
No, you
Um,
made a good point. You made a good point because there's days when I'm up the same time as you pretty much every morning, and I'm on the go literally from first thing in the morning to like say lunchtime. And there's
mhm.
days when I just forget to eat. I
Yeah,
just literally forget to eat. I'm not hungry at all. But that's the good thing I love about this carnivore lifestyle is that I'm not thinking about food. I'm literally on the go. Bang, bang, bang,
sure.
bang. I'm getting shit done. The minute I
Yeah,
get up and like
absolutely.
my morning routine for me is everything. I love waking up
Yeah,
when everybody's asleep. I can get so much done. I can think better. I can function better. But there's no crash. When it gets to
yeah,
around 2 p.m., 3 p.m., I'm still ready to go on. I'm
for
still
sure.
ready to go on. I done yesterday. I'll give you an example. Like yesterday, I had a really really busy morning from 3 a.m. till I think it was around maybe 1:30, and straight after that, then I was doing check-ins, and then I had 3 podcasts. It was literally a hectic day, and the whole day I only had one meal, pretty much at 9 o'clock, like last night, and it was only like a small piece of steak. That's all I had. but I was
Sure.
able to function perfectly, and I never thought about food at all. And I was able to get that. I was able to get through that day, and I absolutely smashed it. And
That's
I
awesome.
could have easily went the whole day and not ate nothing, and it wouldn't have had any effect on me. Now, if you had spoke to me like say 7 years ago when I was eating the standard diet and I was eating like
Hmm.
8 times a day, I can tell you right now, I would have been struggling.
Oh,
And I can
absolutely.
tell, and I wouldn't have been able to function. I would have been like, I would have been getting angry. I would have been getting anxious. Myself and Victoria spoke about this last night because this is what I see at the moment. When you have this conversation with these carnivores and they're implementing the carbohydrates, you can see the difference in their voice. They're getting angry about
Yes.
certain things now. They're getting emotional
Yeah.
about certain
Anxious.
things now.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's the one thing I've taken from carnivore is that doesn't happen to me anymore. I'm very, very
Yeah.
Hmm.
relaxed. Like nothing phases me anymore. Nothing.
Hmm.
You can say whatever you want to me. Like I get an awful lot of abuse on social media from all these fitness
Sure.
experts, and I just laugh at these people. Now, the best way to get back at these people is just do a video.
Yeah,
Just do a video on these people. So that's what I
for
did.
sure.
But once that video is over, when you see me on this video, you'll see me as this aggressive person. But when you meet me in person, I'm very relaxed. Like
Yeah.
I'm very, very relaxed. Like I'm completely different to what you see on a video. It's like Bart K. It's like
Yes.
he has
Sure.
this
Hmm.
persona. But I've
Yes.
actually spoken to Bart K a few times, and off camera, he's completely different to what you see
He's
on
very
camera.
laid back. Yeah.
Very,
Yeah.
very laid
That
back.
I think for me the mental clarity helps with decision making. That's a big
Hundred
part of it.
percent. Hundred
So
percent.
I think when you can
Yeah.
clearly and decisively make decisions, it takes out all the
Mhm.
static in the background
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
easy to be
Yeah.
calm and calculated about things. I totally understand what you're saying.
No,
Totally understand.
100%, 100%. I want to go back to what you mentioned earlier on about your weight loss, and you spoke about why you had to do this. You wanted to do it for your
Mhm.
kids. And I think this is very, very important because many people, when they want to get in shape, all they think about is just losing weight. Now, when I
Yeah.
hear
Yeah.
that, that's not enough for me.
No.
You need to tell me a reason why, because I think that this is the reason why so many people look for these quick fixes. They only look
Hmm.
to lose weight, but there's no reason behind it. Like it's not like you're doing this for your family, or maybe you had a health scare, or you're on medication. I mean, the list goes on
Hmm.
and on and on. And that's what separates the carnivore diet to the average diet, is
Sure.
because the carnivore diet is changing people's lives. It's not about weight loss.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
No,
that's I want to focus a little bit on that because again, that's another thing that we're seeing at the moment. Everybody
yeah.
is adding these foods back in while they're on carnivore because they're only focusing on weight loss. But
True.
I don't mind people doing this if it's just for them and them alone. But when you start spreading it to the world, that's when I have a problem because the average person is going to watch that and say, well, I just want to lose weight, but I've got type 2 diabetes, but I can still eat
Hmm.
carbohydrates. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I know. I understand what you're saying.
And I think
Yeah.
that's wrong. I think that's wrong. I think we should be educating the people. Okay, hang on a second. You can still get an amazing shape going on a low
Yes.
carbohydrate diet. And I think that's what's happening at the moment. These carnivores, they're misleading people because they're saying you can be healthy by eating carbohydrates. And I'm sorry, you can't. No, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care what credentials you have. No, carbohydrate is essential to the diet. And now we have these experts on social media that are saying carbohydrates are essential to the diet. That's the key word, essential.
Huh.
Sure. I think
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
I'm not sure what the direction is or what the intent is. Like I've seen some of these, more large scale carnivore influencers integrating carbohydrates into their diet. I wish they would be a little more forward with it, like
Mm,
what their reasoning is, other than just like, oh yeah, you can have this, but we should be eating this, right? That's kind of
mm,
what I've gotten the energy, the line of thought. If you're saying, hey, I want to eat more keto, then you should be more forward and be like, hey, I'm going to eat more keto, and
yeah.
here are my reasonings, or this, and this.
Mm,
I don't think you should be like, I'm carnivore, but I have a potato. Like that's
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
kind of an oxymoron, I guess. I mean, like don't get me wrong. Like I had norovirus 2 weeks ago, and I would eat. I tried to go and eat like I would normally eat, and it just killed me. like
Mm.
in all ways I could possibly explain. And it's just a side effect of getting my gut biome back on track after
Yeah.
Mm.
having norovirus, which nuked my
Mm.
system. Like it just
Mm.
the worst shape I've been in terms of digestive health and in terms of just overall, microbiology, like my microbiome
Mm.
in my stomach.
Mm.
And so, did I have half a sweet potato because that's sweet potato and bone broth is what kept it down in all aspects of digestive system? 100%.
Mm.
But did I pivot and try to push back to where I was before because that's really where I'm optimal and I feel the best? Yes,
Mm.
I did. And now that things are back on track where like I feel good, like I'm not actually fatigued still from having the
Mm.
virus and my stomach is digesting food like a normal stomach should.
But isn't that the key answer?
Yeah,
You're feeling fantastic.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm back at it. Yeah, I
That's
feel
that's
great.
Yeah.
what that's what it all comes down to. Because myself and Victoria and Amy spoke about this last night. That everybody's talking about their A1C, and they're absolutely going mad, and they're going to the
Hmm.
doctor, and the doctor's saying, okay, your A1C is really, really high on your blood
Yeah,
work, but the doctor's not asking you, okay, but hang on a second, your numbers are high, but how do you feel? It's the same when we
yes,
go and see your doctor and you get a blood work done, and you've been a carnivore for 2 years. The first thing he's going to look at is your cholesterol. He's going to be like, holy
yes,
shit, your cholesterol is very, very high. But if he asked me the question, Mark, how do you feel? I'm going to tell him, like, listen, you can tell
yep.
me what you like about my cholesterol. I feel fucking incredible.
I'll give
Yeah.
you a great example of this, and this is so awesome that you brought it up. You keyed my brain. So my father-in-law went and switched over to eating pretty well strict carnivore about a year ago. Uh,
Really?
yes, and it's because he saw how much success I had and how much success my wife has had eating keto and carnivore. And he was also an Atkins person, a Dr. Atkins follower back in
Hmm.
the early 2000s, and he had great results then. And so he had a heart attack about, oh, it's been about 11 years ago, and had some bypasses done. And to be fair, prior to that heart attack, he had strayed away from eating low carb. And so I don't know if it was just the plaque buildup was an inflammation response from the
Mm.
things he was putting in his system. But
Mm.
so after the fact, the doctor was like, "Hey, listen, you got to eat low fat, right? This is the thing that they do. Got to eat low fat. Gotta watch your salt intake. This, and this." And he, over the time, ballooned up. And so he saw the responses that we had from eating carnivore and low carb, and he's like, "You know what? I'm going to do this. I'm not going to tell him. I'm just going to do my thing." Over the last year, I think he's down like I don't want to undersell it, but I want to say it's 80 pounds. He's
Wow,
Wow.
lost nine and a
Wow.
half inches off his waist.
Holy
amazing.
cow.
His memory, everything super sharp. He feels crisp in his decision making. He gets on the elliptical every day. He does 3.5 miles on the elliptical every day. I'm
Amazing.
not gonna. I don't want to say he's. I want to say he's like 65,
Mm.
65 going on 66. Maybe he might be a little older. He may be older. I don't. I listen, I have days where I forget how old I actually am because I feel so great. But,
Yeah.
but, uh, I mean, just unbelievable shape for someone his
Mm.
age and who's been through so much, right?
Yeah.
Who's had stints put in.
Mm.
And so he goes in, he does his 16-hour fast, he gives his blood work, and his blood work comes back, and it's the way I look at it, it looked fantastic. Okay. He's off or down to very little, statin. He's not on statins anymore. He's on
Good.
beta
Good.
blockers and things like that. He's weaning off of them. And
Mm.
he's doing great. Doctor doesn't ask him how he's feeling, right? Says, "Hey, you lost all this weight. How'd you do it?" He explains that.
Mm.
Carnivore doctor does the classic eye
Yeah.
roll sort of
Yeah.
thing, kind of
Mm.
dismisses him a little bit.
Yeah.
The doctor gets the cholesterol numbers back, and he was like, "Hey, listen, your cholesterol's a little elevated. Like, we might want to go and get you on a statin or bump your
No.
statins up or whatever." And
No. No. No.
he's like, "I'm just gonna act like I didn't see the message. Like, I'm just gonna act
Mm.
like I didn't. I'm just gonna
Yes.
continue on the path." He was like, "I'm already living on borrowed time.
Mm.
I survived a heart attack. I'm out the back end here. I feel amazing. I'm, X amount of years old. Like I'm just going to go live my life. And the last
Mm.
remaining years I have, I'm going to feel
Mm.
great." And,
Absolutely.
and I love that mindset. And it is
100%.
crazy that the doctor never asked him, "How do you feel?"
No. Yeah.
How do you feel?
And
What?
and it's and that's what we're seeing at the moment, because we've had endless podcasts and chats on this. It's very, very sad that you see the average person as they get older, they're in
Mhm.
wheelchairs, they're walking around with a walking
Oh,
stick,
yeah.
they're walking
In
around with
my age group.
zombies. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was
Yeah.
gonna say. Like, and it's like you're
Hmm.
seeing people, and it's incredibly sad
It's
that
very sad.
they're
And they're
they're just
dying.
yeah, they're deteriorating in front of your eyes.
Yeah. It's
And
And
they
crazy.
don't
it's
get it.
and all you want to do is just go over to these people, put your arm
Hmm.
around them, and say, listen, what you're currently doing at the moment, I
Hmm.
don't care what it is, medication, whatever it is, it's not working.
Not
Yeah.
working.
End of story. Don't even question me. Don't even answer
Right.
me back. Just listen to what I'm saying. It's not
Yeah.
working.
I have a
That's it.
entire generation of people on my mother's side of the family who grew up on the same family homestead in the middle of Wisconsin. They all grew up within 10 miles of this particular farm that they
Mm,
homesteaded when they immigrated from Europe. And uh, all the women, and including the men, uh, they ate just like I won't say a whole foods diet, but they ate what was local and available to them
mm.
at the family farm or at the market in town. And you look at what they ate every day. They get up, they do their work, so they fasted into mid morning because they had chores to do.
Mm,
They ate eggs off the farm. They ate beef off the farm. The vegetables that they had in their lifetime were seasonal. They were seasonal vegetables. It was what's available or what was canned
mm.
and preserved for winter. But they got rid of all that processed stuff. They never really intake. They never had that intake of processed food.
Yeah.
The women on my mom's side of the family in that generational group all were living to be 100 years old or like
Wow.
105 years old. Unbelievable.
Wonderful.
The men stretched into their 90s, and there's something to say about simplifying and refining your diet
Yes. Yes.
and the fasting aspect of things and not having the default into medical intervention or prescription
And
intervention.
can I just add a point as well? Now, I want to be. How am I going to say this without offending people? I'm going to try and do this without offending people.
You
Um,
could try.
but I don't mean anything by it. But what we're seeing at the
Sure,
moment in the world at the moment is that, especially with men, I'm seeing an awful lot of. I don't know how to explain this, but without coming across as nasty. But I'm seeing a lot of male weakness in the world. Let's put it that way. That
sure.
like a lot of them are struggling with their mental health, and
Hmm.
they don't know where to go. And a lot of people they're going to the gym, and they're bringing out that muscularity, and they're being
Hmm.
aggressive in the gym, but when they come out of the gym, they're back in that weak zone again. You know what I
Yes.
mean? They're constantly overthinking about stuff, and we're seeing this with women as well.
Hmm.
Now, this is what I always explain to men in the gym, because men are always saying this to me. Do you have any tips for feeling good about myself? I'm not feeling great about myself. And I'm like, you won't believe what I'm going to say here. You need to back off on the amount of training that you're doing. You need to
Hmm.
get rid of the sugar out of your diet, because I know you're on a lot of
Yep.
sugar. See that drink that you have right there? You need to get rid of that, and you need to add more fat into your diet, because you can clearly see their testosterone levels and women's estrogen levels are going down. So
Yes.
this is where the weakness comes from. They're really, really
Hmm.
struggling. They're falling apart, basically. You know what I mean? And it's a
Yes.
big, big trend at the moment. That you'll see all this male uh, stuff in the gym, but when they come out of the
Right.
gym, they're just weak. They're weak. They're
Yep.
weak men. Now, when I think about testosterone and our ancestors, these were like men, like real men. Does that
Sure.
make sense?
Yeah.
It's like,
No,
it's like,
that
and that's what
natural
yeah, and that's the current
provider,
trend that I'm
hunter
seeing at the moment.
gatherer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because that's the current trend I'm seeing at the moment. I'm seeing a lot of weakness in the world at the moment,
Hmm.
and I'm like, how
Yes.
can we actually improve on this? Now, this actually changes as we get older. The weakness actually gets weaker. They're getting weaker. We should be getting
Hmm.
stronger as we get older.
Yeah.
You know what I
I
mean?
I I think I
Like,
read
why
a
is
study
it?
recently where you shouldn't have strength. I won't say strength declines, but you shouldn't have any noticeable strength or ability declines till after
No,
your 50s, which
no.
means you could be you could still be peaking in terms of your overall health in your 50s, and
Yeah,
then your decline happens thereafter. But
yeah,
if you the study also showed that if you continue to work on yourself, you continue to work out, you continue to eat healthy, you stay active, the
yeah.
decline is mitigated dramatically all the way
Absolutely,
until you hit about
100%.
70.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
absolutely.
unbelievable. I think because the world is so easy, I hate to say it, but the world is easy. It is. We
It
have
is. Yeah,
Yeah.
modernized and
yeah,
adapted in such a manner
Yes.
that the world's so easy that a lot of
Hmm.
people haven't had true hard days, and
Exactly.
so
Yes.
they think that
that's what I was
things
gonna. Yeah,
that are
yeah,
minutia are hard, and it's not. And that's a big
absolutely.
part of it.
100%. I
We've made it
totally
so
agree with you.
easy to live that people don't have to struggle a little bit in
Exactly.
the modern world, and I would say in first world countries.
100%, because everything now is standardized. It's in your
Hmm.
face now. I mean, the average person doesn't cook anymore.
No, yeah.
Nobody
Yeah.
cooks anymore, and
Unfortunately.
everybody's ordering food online now. It's so easy.
Hmm.
Yeah. Hmm.
So nobody's at home and cooking their food anymore. I only had this
Yeah.
conversation with a lady in the shop. I think it was 3 weeks ago, and she had all this food in her trolley. And the cooking conversation came up, and I was like, "How many times do you cook for your kids on a week to week basis?" And she says to me, probably once a week.
Wow.
Once a week.
Wow. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
All the
No.
all the
Me,
food
it
that
was
she all
with
the food that she
daily
had.
and
Oh
It's
lunches.
like
no,
No,
all
it
the
frozen
was
or
all
pre-processed.
yeah, it's all
yeah,
processed. It's
all
just
packaged,
just
and
put it in the
packaged.
microwave. Put it in the microwave. There's your food, and
It's
and
Hmm.
that's
terrible.
just what she's given to her child. See, that's
Yeah.
where we're going wrong. It's in our face. Everywhere they're
Hmm.
making it all
Yeah.
customized. They're making it so much easier for people to live.
Oh,
And
and they're
that's where
Yeah.
and
working
that's
on
where
to make it
and that's where
even
the
worse
weakness
than
comes
that.
from. Yeah, that's where the
Yes, they're
weakness
making.
comes from.
I saw a video about a museum exhibit, I think it was in London, about how companies are working to make eating even easier for us so that we don't have to think about what we're eating or nutrition. Everything will be preset. So
Mm,
we're going even further and deeper into that
mm,
that
mm.
mindset, which is just to
Hmm.
me just awful.
And when you
Well, it's
think
like
about it, no, sorry, Nate. When you think about it, like everybody's on the standard low fat diet. And
sure.
when I spoke about weakness, what I mean is it's mental health. Everybody's
Yes.
mental health is weak,
Yeah.
like really,
Hmm.
really weak. Everybody is struggling at the moment. You just need to see, you
Hmm.
can see it on people's faces. They're really struggling emotionally, physically,
Hmm.
or yeah, and mentally as well. Now, I don't care who these people are. The low fat diet is what's causing the problems here.
Absolutely.
Your brain is
Hmm.
made of fats. So why
Hmm.
are we telling people to go on a low fat diet? Why are we
Yeah.
Well,
telling people? But why are we
you
telling
need omega
people?
fats.
But that's what I'm saying. Why are we telling
Yeah.
people that we should be focusing on a macronutrients that's not even
Hmm.
essential to the human diet? And then the next part is all your grains. These are not even
Right.
nutrients. They're not even, your body can't even absorb these foods. Can you imagine what these are doing to your brain? So
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
when we look at the current trend at the moment, mental health is going in this direction, and not one person understands why. Now, I'm not
Hmm.
a doctor. This is just my opinion. I'm not saying this is right. This is just my opinion. I believe that most of it is not down to lifestyle. I believe it's down to what we're putting into our body. So at the end of the day,
Nutrition.
if
Absolutely.
if you feel like crap, okay, it's going to impact this. It's going to impact your brain
Absolutely.
eventually.
Yeah.
So so
I
again,
saw something where they talked about like people with and you just kind of scroll through you doom scroll through the internet and you see studies and you kind of read into them a little bit. And one of the studies was like they were talking about how dietary intervention with people with like depression, schizophrenia,
Yes.
bipolar disorder,
Yes.
and they're finding that like pushing them to a more keto-based diet,
mm,
bumping their
Yes.
fat intake through the roof,
Hmm.
has mitigated and some people resolved
mm,
the
Yes.
symptoms from those
Yes.
disorders.
And they get off
mm,
medication and they're
mm.
so
Yes.
much happier and healthier. And it's such a simple, straightforward answer. It's what you're putting into your mouth. And why people don't
Yeah.
get that message beyond me. But I'm so happy to see that, especially in the States where Harvard is doing it. They have
Yeah,
Uh,
I
clinic
I've never seen
associated.
anyone frown eating a ribeye unless it's overdone. I'm just throwing it
Yes,
out there.
that's true.
Everyone I see who's eaten ribeyes online or
Yeah.
going to a steakhouse online, unless that steak is overdone, they're not frowning. They're having a great time.
Yes.
And I
absolutely.
think this psychological impact of eating real food is a big deal. Like at work, one of my coworkers was making fun of me because I was eating sardines. Well, yeah, I'm going to eat sardines because they're great for you. You've got great omega fatty acids. The
Yes.
fat
Yes.
intake is perfect,
Mhm.
good
Yeah,
protein. And so I
yeah,
looked at him and I said, "Are you really enjoying your protein shake over there while you're telling me you know, making fun of me for the
yeah,
sardines?"
yeah,
And he was like,
yeah,
"Well,
yeah.
yeah, I got to drink this big protein shake to get 30 grams in." I was like, this
But
tin of
that,
Mhm.
sardines
but that's,
here
but you made a good very,
has the
but you
same
made it,
amount.
but you made a very, very good point there because I had this conversation with a guy in my changing rooms again this week. Now this guy is
Hmm.
extremely skinny. He goes into the gym, he lifts all these weights, but he still looks like that. He's very, very skinny.
Yeah,
And we were talking about building muscle because he was looking at me and he was like, "You're quite big, like you've got a good amount of
sure.
muscle on you." And I was telling him, he was asking me like, "Do you mind do you mind telling me what you're eating?" I'm like, "I just eat red meat. That's all I have." And he's like, "Just red meat." Now he was telling me this while he was drinking on a protein shake. Now
Yeah,
he wasn't confused, but he was just mesmerized that
sure.
while he was drinking his shake,
Yeah,
this stuff is meant to be help me
yeah.
build muscle, and this
He's
guy
like,
over
he's like,
here is eating a
I have
steak.
the time drinking this right now so I
Yeah,
can get my muscle. Yeah.
but
That's
he's probably thinking in his head, hang on a second, I'm spending 60 quid on this tub of protein, and this guy over
yeah.
here, he looks better than me, and he's telling me all I have to do is just eat his red meat. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
Yeah.
And this is where I
it's
see the
hilarious.
this is where I see the weakness with the men. It's like they're
Yeah,
getting extremely skinny. They're not putting on quality muscle, and if
right.
they are putting on quality muscle, it's just basically fat. Basically, that's all it is.
Yeah. Hmm.
It's not real muscle unless you're enhanced, you're on TRT, because
Sure.
you're not going to build quality muscle by taking supplements unless you're enhanced.
From
Yes.
my leanest to now, which was about a year and a half ago, year ago, I got down to like 173. And that was with fasting and like really, you know, zero carb. To my current state, I managed to put on like 17 pounds of lean muscle mass according to the
Hmm.
DEXA scan. Now, there's some people who claim that DEXA scans are BS.
Hmm.
But if I think if you use it and track it over time, I would say you'd be able to count for those numbers. I put
Hmm.
like 17 and a half pounds of lean muscle mass on over a year and a half, almost 2 years. And I think
Yep,
Hmm.
that's a huge statement. That is a huge statement to the diet.
100%.
It's so easy
It's great.
to build muscle, recover from workouts,
Yeah.
eating this way. Uh, and I try to advocate it. If people ask like, "What do you eat?" I'm like, just I'm gonna go eat an entire chicken later today. I might go eat 2 pounds of ground beef tomorrow. I have hard
Hmm.
boiled eggs all the time. Like I'm not starving. Like I'm having a good time doing this.
Mhm.
Hmm.
So
Yep.
and
And yeah,
I
you're
tell
still trimmed
I'm trying. Like I you know
with
and
that
honestly I
extra
feel
muscle. You're still
yeah
trimmed. Yeah.
yeah. And I always tell people they're like, "Well, don't you get sick of it?" I'm not eating for taste. I'm eating
No,
Yes.
for results.
Yes.
absolutely.
And and if it tastes good in the process, that's a win, right? I've
Hmm.
established a win. I'm hitting my nutrient intake that I need. I feel good, and it tastes good. I'm all about it, right?
Hmm.
And I try to, you know, I make keto meals here and there from my wife, and I post keto meals on my Instagram and stuff like that. And that stuff is nutritious and tastes great. But when I ratchet down and I'm like, hey, I'm only going to eat ground beef, or I'm only going to eat ribeyes, I'm only going to eat hard-boiled eggs, and I'm only drinking water or
Hmm.
black coffee and
Hmm.
salt, uh, I'm fine doing that. I get my routine and I'm totally content and I don't need anything else.
And that's and
And I think
that's
that's a big statement.
and I think that's the most important thing because I don't think people understand true food freedom. Because
Hmm.
this when you're addicted to something,
Yes.
this is where you need all this variety. You need all this
Yeah.
variety of food. But when you strip all that back and you just look at food as just fuel and look at what this
Hmm.
food is doing for my body, instead of just
Hmm.
looking at it as just entertainment, then it's
Sure.
just it's a
Yes.
different mindset. It's a different
Yeah.
It's
mindset. It's a
I,
different
freedom
mind switch.
from food. Freedom from
Yeah.
food. It
yes.
no longer rules your life.
Yes,
I get it when people say that you're just eating a steak on its own, that's going to lead to an eating disorder. I get it because I came from an
sure.
eating disorder. You know what I
Okay.
mean? So for me to get my head around at the very, very beginning when I was carnivore, all I have to do is just eat a steak. That's all I have to
Hmm.
do. And
Yeah.
but when I start eating that's when I knew, okay, hang on a second, I'm getting full here.
Yep.
Every
Hmm.
time I eat a bite of this steak, my fullness is going up and up and up. I never had that.
Absolutely.
I never had that when I used to eat the standard diet. Every 2 hours I had to eat, and I could eat a
Right.
meal, and I would be tempted to eat something after.
Yes.
How many
Yeah.
times have you been in a restaurant where you've had this big plate of food, big, huge, massive plate of food, and you're
Hmm.
stuffed, but then all of a sudden
Yeah.
the waiter comes out with the dessert menu, and even though you're not
Yeah.
hungry, you're just tempted.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Absolutely. I
I've
know
done it.
when I
I've done
sit
it many
down,
times. Many times.
yeah, I'll sit down and eat like, a pound and a half of ground beef. Like I get to that like pound mark and I was like, this is now I have to make the decision. Like, do I eat the other half pound that's sitting in front of me? Am I really hungry? And then when,
Mm.
let's say I go for it, it's like, I'm not gonna eat anything for 24 hours after that because it just sits,
Yep.
that fat is so satiating. It just sits in
Yep.
here just like, all right, we got to go for a run after this.
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't know how I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Whereas, like, if I sat down and ate a loaf of bread, 2 hours later, I'm going to be wanting another loaf of bread, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I totally understand that.
And
I
isn't it?
think the
And
psychological aspect is huge
yeah.
too of that.
And another thing I found from carnivore is that even if you have a big meal, you never have that bloated feeling. You never have that
Yes.
that lethargic feeling like, oh, I have to lie
Yeah.
down and have a nap now. No, I can get up and have a walk or do stuff. I'm feeling good about myself. Like I don't have that
Hmm.
heavy feeling anymore. Whereas if I ate the standard carbohydrate diet,
You there?
I'm ready to have a nap. How many times
Yeah,
have
really.
over the
Nap
Christmas
time.
periods? How many times over the Christmas period where you eat your standard Christmas dinner and the first thing you want to do
Yeah.
after is just have a nap?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's the truth. Oh, they always say like we do Thanksgiving here and everyone eats turkey and they're like, oh, I, you know, it's the tryptophan in the turkey that makes me want to nap. I was like, no, it's the four
No,
helpings
no.
It's
of
the
sweet
carbohydrate
potatoes
side
and the
dishes. Yeah.
stuffing, yeah, and
Yeah,
the
Uh-huh.
cranberries and
The
all those things that you
pie.
ate. Like
Hmm.
that's why you're tired. Yeah. So while
Hmm.
100%,
they're
100%.
sleeping, I'm
Wow.
watching the game because all I have is turkey and I'm having the best time of my life, right?
Yeah.
So,
Well, Nate,
Absolutely.
we want to be respectful of your time, and we do want to ask you one thing in closing. Could you give advice to someone who's carnivore curious, someone who wants to dip their toes in the water? How would you suggest they approach it?
I would start with what do you have to lose?
Mhm.
If
Good
you could look
question.
yourself in the mirror and realize that you have nothing to lose. You have nothing to lose. You have everything to benefit. Uh, and I think that if you're carnivore curious and you're not eating keto, start eating keto. Because everyone I
Hmm.
know who started eating keto eventually moves into a carnivore style diet if they're committed and they can really appreciate and they're sticking to the true undertones of that lifestyle. And if you just want to just go straight into carnivore diet, eat until you're full. And if you're hungry, eat meat. And if you're not hungry for meat, you're bored. That's really what it boils down to.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
I think that's my tips and advice. You've got nothing to lose. You really have
Ma-
nothing to lose.
Amazing. And where can people go to find you, Nate?
You can find me on Instagram, the underscore carnivore underscore cop underscore. Uh, Stop on in. I drop meals. I drop some fitness stuff here and there. I drop occasional law enforcement content. I like to have fun with it. I'm slowly becoming more of a lifestyle entertainment sort of a Instagram profile. Not intentionally. I just think it's my personality shining through, and I'm having fun. So.
Good stuff.
That's
And
great.
what's in the pipeline down? Anything coming up?
Working on some stuff on the side. We'll see in January. It's gonna be
Good
fun.
stuff.
So I always
Amazing.
say, if you've got a project, a passion that you love, you don't tell anyone until it's time. But we've got some
There
cool
we
Absolutely.
stuff.
go.
100%.
I think
Keep
the
the
big
energy.
thing that I
Yeah.
want to do, yeah, the big thing I want to do is I want to rally everyone in January again, like I did this year when I started my account, and do like a worldwide carnivore month, like
Hmm.
every January should be. So we're trying to
Amazing.
bring new people in and change lives.
Amazing. Well, Nate, it's
Great.
been an absolute pleasure. It's been an absolute pleasure
Yes,
meeting you.
yes.
I've
Thank you
seen you
so
on social
much.
media. You're absolutely
Yes,
killing it. You look incredible. Your story,
you
I'm
do too.
hoping your
You do
story.
too. And I'm so happy that I got to meet both of you.
Well, we're happy to meet you. Very glad you came
Yeah.
on. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate bringing me on.
No
All
problem, mate.
righty
See you.
then.
Speak soon, buddy.
All right.
Thank you
Have a
so
great
much.
one.
You too. Bye bye now.